Welcome to Two Loose Cannons. Got a huge agenda this week. I'm Liam.
I'm Ross.
Let's get straight to it because there's a lot of talking points we've got on the agenda. So on the menu this week, we're going to start with 2 spotlights, a new little segment where we grill each other, 5 questions on a particular topic. So the spotlight for me onto Ross is what's going on at Port Adelaide.
Should be fun, guys.
Yeah.
Buckle in.
And Ross is going to grill me on the Australian cricket team and where it's heading. So like a little bit of a review thing. Then we roll into the questions from you guys. So the topics we'll cover: Cam Green, is he overrated? What's going on at Carlton? We've got the AFL generation of conversation. Are they generating conversation for the sake of just headlines? We've got a strange one from about Katy and sports. And then we roll into women's sports. So let's get straight to it, shall we? First spotlight is Port Adelaide. Now, as you can see, I'm addressed appropriately for this segment.
And as you
And
can see,
I'm waiting 5 or 6 days for this one. Last Thursday, it hit the news headlines. Old mate board member Warren Tredrea, outside the courts. He's in a legal spat with Channel 9. The situation goes as this. He gave an IOU to Channel 9 for legal costs. The debt, he didn't pay, he gave an IOU because the debt was discharged because Channel 9 refused to respond to his ludicrous request. That Nine did not accept the promissory note as a valid form of payment. So they're in the courts. And in the court documents, it said that this is Warren Tredrea, that he's a private man, he's not a legal person, citizen or resident, but he also denied to being a sovereign citizen. Warren Tredrea this is his own quote here. He is a private man. His yes be yes and his no be no. Now, my question is this man fit to lead Port Adelaide?
he's not leading Port Adelaide.
He is in a football sense.
Let's not go.
In a football sense?
He's a minor board member who was elected by the members of the club for one reason, because he called out Ken Hinkley, and it resonated with those people, those supporters within the club who were disenchanted with the way the club was going and the way the team was playing under Hinkley. They thought, wrongly, by the way, that by putting him on the board, he would actually be able to do something to change that and perhaps whether it was force Ken out or make Ken more accountable. I'm not sure what they exactly thought he was going to do. But none of that was going to happen because it was made very clear early on that once he got to the board, he either had to toe the line or he'd be out like Hoshi. So he's there because of that. We had it better. Look, I'll be honest with you. I didn't vote for Tredrea as my member's board member. I went for Abernathy. I thought he'd make a much better person. But a lot of people were saying if you're just going to put Bruce on there, it's just going to be another yes man. I disagree. Bruce is a fabulous bloke. If you ever meet the bloke, he knows his footy. Tredrea was there because he yelled and screamed. He said that it was untenable. And like I say, that resonated and they elected him. But once he got there, it's the toothless tiger. He was told to toe the line or get out. And now he's in this legal battle. Look, I can't speak to his mental frame of mind at the moment. I know a lot of people pre-COVID who would, I won't say normal people, but COVID changed a lot of people's lives. And Tredrea, to me, just seems like someone who, after COVID, it just completely changed his life. Everything about him, his attitude, everything. So, look, Koshi comes out, he says, look, it's a legal matter, it's a public matter, it's a private matter, whatever he called it. And
He said it was a private matter.
he said it's a private matter and he's going to let the courts deal with it. So,
But it's not a private matter. It's the public court.
I know.
Public consumption now.
To me, I would have just said, listen, Warren, you need to step down until this is sorted out. And then, maybe you go up and once this is all sorted, because it looks like this is something that's not going to just end in a week or two. It's going to take a long time to sort. Then you can come back and if you want to put your hand up to be the members vote again, then go for it.
So you've got the biggest cheerleader in the world, Kane Corns, coming out saying that your club hasn't been strong enough on this. And, you know, I know that it's not really an on-field issue, but, you know, I come from, I support a club that has had off-field issues leak onto on-field issues.
Yeah.
And the way the season's panning out for you guys, you don't need any more encouragement for things to go a little bit more haywire.
I think it's a long way to draw to say the Tredrea thing's affecting the players. Is I speak to a lot of the guys. Like, I know a lot of, obviously, I've been around the club since I was probably 7 or 8. You know, so we're talking a 50-year association here with the Port Adelaide Footy Club. I've grown up with friends who I've known since I was, 10, 11, 12, who are hard on, rusted on Port fans. None of them cared about the Tredrea thing. Most of the comments had to do around his podcast and what he's doing with the podcast and COVID and things like that. Like, what happened to this bloke? In that sense. So no one's sitting there going, we've got to get rid of this bloke. He's destroying the club. Because he's not. He's just a guy who's just lost it somewhere along the line. He seemed to think that the whole COVID thing was a big enough incident for him to have to challenge. If you listen or you watch his podcast, you see there's a lot of stuff where he brings nurses in, he brings a lot of specialists in, and they talk about the facts around it. So it's that sort of thing. And look, it's totally changed the man. What can I say?
Standing here today, is Warren Tredrea a better board member than Mark Shudo?
I don't know, because I don't know. I think Mark Shudo had a lot more influence over that board than Tredrea's ever will.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way Tredrea's.
But they're in the same capacity in terms of a football. They're there for their football nous. That's why Warren Tredrea was brought on. That's why Mark Shudo was brought onto our board. Yeah. Was to help influence the football side of things. Can you see the influence that he's had at this stage?
No.
So nothing's changed?
No. I think Shudo shaped and formed that club in the ways that Tredrea never could. And I think we've spoken about this a lot. And
we have, that's why I brought it up.
We both agree. Shudo probably did more damage than good.
Oh, no, I don't think he did. I don't think he did, because you look where we are today. Look where we were.
Yeah, where you went today.
When he first was on.
That's right, when he was first on.
Look, I'm not saying that the camp was a necessary evil, but that was a good way for him to be able to just demolish everything and set the club up into what it is today. And that's a very family inclusive club, which, I've been quite privy to being part of that, being brought in with my element.
Port Adelaide, not supposed to be.
Yeah, I understand that. But I'm telling you, the results of what Mark Shudo did, and that was a fantastic job, because now we are no longer the rabble we used to be.
Get back on track.
So, what value has Tredrea added?
Yes, no value.
None.
So nothing that I can see. I haven't seen him come out and talk about anything. I haven't seen him to push any agendas.
To say, hey, mate, tenure over.
Because he was basically told, you start causing waves and you'll be out the door. That was the impression we got from the very start. He was going on there as the members' representative.
Yeah.
And
so he's expendable.
Well, they're all expendable, aren't they?
So why hasn't David Koch pushed him out?
I don't know. You have to ask Koshy that question. I mean, to me, I thought he would have been gone within days of the storm.
Because what sponsor wants to attach themselves to a club that's got that on the board?
Well, look.
And Koshy's a smart man financially. He knows how companies
of course he does. And the thing is, though, if Tredrea is bankrupt, he can't sit on the board.
Yeah.
That's, whether you want him or not, he can't.
But is he bankrupt?
Well, not yet, but this is what he's saying Channel 9's trying to do. So in his statement, he also said that Channel 9 are trying to bankrupt him. So, if he is bankrupt, then he can't sit on the board. So I don't know whether Kosh is playing the long game and knowing that perhaps one day that might be the thing and they can go, sorry, wrong.
But this is going to get nastier. This is going to get, as this case gets closer to the end. And what's it going to do to your club? Now's the time to nip it in the bud.
Yeah.
It's a ballsy call to because he's only just been elected and by the members.
Yeah.
But surely you've got to cut ties.
And it wasn't like it was a huge majority. I think it was something like 51 to 41. It was 51. It was 50 points something to 49 points something. So it wasn't like he was a landslide 80%er. And fans are going to kick up if he's gone.
Most of the majority would have voted for him to get rid of Ken. So that hasn't happened. So move him on. And
Well, Ken's gone now, so there's, not.
But
That's neither here nor there. That's right. That's not his doing. It's just Ken.
Yeah.
You're right. He's gone now. So maybe people are sitting back and thinking, oh, well, Ken's gone and Treda's really hasn't done any damage. So.
Okay. Well,
I think it's a bigger story to you than it is to us. To be
because
honest.
I've heard for what, 8 years or then some about how bad a board member.
Well, he was though. At least admit it. He was early on. He was early on.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
It was a boys' club, and they got called out constantly about all these mates. It was the mates game. It was everybody that was his mate
to get,
and it destroyed your club for many years, mate. I can't believe you're sitting here and denying that he did the damage early on.
He did no damage.
What else?
He was the one that. Hang on. He didn't take him out to camp. He didn't take him out to camp. Those people were gone, and they needed to go. Why do you think he didn't go?
Maybe he's got pictures of someone. I don't know.
No. We'll agree to disagree on that. So
let's go.
Look, I reckon that we don't want to spend too much time dwelling on it. I think I've pretty much drilled on that. I don't think us arguing about moving Tredrea is going to get it removed. But
not know anything.
But at the end of that, I can see we're going to be talking about
surprised he's not gone. And I'll totally admit that I'm surprised he's still there.
Yeah.
But there's something else going on, and like you said, Koshi's a smart man. He's a financial guru. So for him to have not moved him on says to me that.
But also, I think he's gutless.
He doesn't think.
I think Koshi is gutless.
Yeah.
Because there's been times where he could have pulled the trigger on Ken, and he hasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's true too.
And it's not necessarily financial. But
then a lot of people have said that they're tied together. Koshi and Ken are tied together. And if Ken went, then Koshi had to go. So I don't know whether he was protecting his own.
So we're talking about boys' club. What's that sound like?
That sounds like a guy who's protecting his job. It's not a boys' club.
Oh, it's a boys' club.
It just sounds like something.
Him, Chris Davies, the three.
It's that if he gets to the Ken, then the club's then the next person whose head's on the chopping block is his.
Koshi, CD, Ken. It's constantly hammering your club, destroying it.
Well, Ken's going to be gone soon. Koshi's not going to be around. He's already said he's not going to be around.
And you need to sweep out CD while you're at it. Yeah.
Oh, next.
All right, we're going to grill me. You sure?
Okay. So, is it over for Blubbershane?
No, it's not. It's not. But this is necessarily evil. If he can't go back to domestic cricket and score runs, and look, he had a good chance at the end of last summer. He played in the Sheffield Shield final, failed a couple of times there.
Yeah.
In the game before the Sheffield Shield to get Queensland in, failed a couple of times there.
Yeah.
It's not over. Some great players have gone, got dropped, come back even better. Not saying that's going to necessarily happen with Labuschagne, but certainly needs to go, and he needs to find a way to score runs and look to score runs. Problem is, he's just looking to hang around. So, I don't think it's over for him.
Green at 3?
Green at 3? No. But the problem is, you look at that Australian batting lineup, and you've got a lot of people that can play the same position as him. Talking about Inglis, Webster. 3 doesn't fit into one spot, does it?
That's
so,
right. Yeah.
Look, they want to get him in. He's technically correct, but he's probably the one out of the 3 that I've mentioned that probably could live at 3. I'm not sure how long they're going to stick with Bo Webster. Bo Webster's actually in Green's spot, but he's performed.
That's performed.
Yeah,
if he fails, I could see Webster going and Green dropping down to 6 or 7.
Yeah. But then come the West Indies, and this is going to wallpaper the cracks. The pitches in the West Indies are very, very slow. The new ball's not really going to do what it does in England, what it does in Australia. I can see Green scoring some runs, getting into form, locking away his 3 spot. Then come the Ashes. It's
McDonald's already come out and said the pitches in the West Indies are totally given to the ones in Australia.
Correct.
And that this won't show him anything. So he's got on the front foot here. He's already said that if you perform in the West Indies, that doesn't automatically
guarantee
one in Australia.
No, but it could do someone like Bo Webster out at the spot. Bo Webster has 4 failures or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. If he doesn't perform in the West Indies, then they'll be looking at that going, well, why are we playing Green at 3? Let's get somebody.
Yeah, and then you can slide. Well, if Webster's the one that fails, then you can easily remove Webster out, slide Green down. And then you can find a
McSweeney, or you can go with an Inglis, whatever.
Yeah.
The ballers.
Oh, the ballers.
Yes. They getting too old now.
I don't know if any of you saw my reel that I did during the week of the aging Australian attack, But
By the way,
Dire Straits, youngest bowler, I think, was Patrick Cummins at 32.
Yeah, 32.
So, no, they're in a bit of a world of hurt here, because I looked at the top performers over the last couple of years, and the top performers at state level are all of the same age. You've got McAndrew, you've got someone like Gabe Bell at 29. The one that stands out that I don't know why they haven't got him into the squad to at least have a look, was Fergus O'Neill for Victoria. 38 wickets. This is just last summer alone. 38 wickets at a strike rate of 49, average of 21.07. Not a rapid bowler. Bowls around about 120 to 130. Can swing the ball both ways. Be perfect for the Ashes over in England. Lighter length bowler.
No.
But this thing of we've got to have fast bowlers to blast them all out means that he's not really going to get a look in until he does something really exceptional. They probably see him as a Chad Sayers type. Remember Chad Sayers getting his one test match?
Yeah.
Didn't perform because the conditions didn't suit. That's, I think, how they view Fergus O'Neill.
Yeah.
But at a time where they brought in Abbott as a reserve bowler, so they got Boland as first reserve, they could have brought in someone like Vidler, who performed in the Sheffield Shield final. Now, kid's 19, absolutely rapid, bowls at rapid speed, and is aggressive. Get him in, get him around the group. He's not likely going to play. When do you ever go two bowlers down on a tour?
No,
not often.
Not often. So, do you see Khawaja in the first Ashes test opening?
Unfortunately, I do. Again,
and
he'll score runs over in the West Indies.
Who opens with him?
I want to see.
Well, I thought they were going to go with Inglis and what's it then? Constance.
I don't want to see Inglis as an opening test batsman. Inglis, the WA doesn't bat opener. Why are we looking to have him over?
Then let's get back to Khawaja.
Khawaja, yeah. I don't see him lasting the summer. There's, again, it's sort of against South Africa. Quicker bowlers on pitches that do a little bit, struggles. The footwork just isn't there. He'll score runs in the Caribbean, just like he did in Sri Lanka, because the slower pitches give him a look in. But I don't see him lasting the summer.
All right. Well, that leads into the last one then, which was, does he make it to the SCG test? Which is what he said he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that would be his retirement test.
Well, look,
he said, you don't think you'll make it to the last test of the summer?
If Khawaja makes it to the last test of the summer, he's obviously got some good pictures of the selectors, particularly if he's not scoring runs, or he has scored runs in the Ashes. It's this summer's going to be make or break for a lot of them.
We can't consider scoring runs. So when you say he's scoring runs, if he makes 40s,
no, that's not
scoring runs.
No,
you want him what, 60s, 70s, 80s, 100s?
You want to be scoring hundreds. You want to be scoring hundreds. Again, it depends what the pitches are like next summer. If we have a hot, mild start to the summer where there's not a lot of rain, then it could be a runs fest. And the way England's batting at the moment, they need to bat big. So if they have a couple of 300 to 400 scores, it might not be enough.
Okay.
And so those 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, they're not going to be enough. Yeah. So no, it's not enough. He's got to convert into hundreds. And I'm banking on the fact that Constance isn't going to go big early in his career.
I think
you've got to give him some time.
The advice he got was to go big. He needed a point of difference. He needed to be the next Warner, which I think is bad advice for him. Just go out and play your game. We saw the difference between Travis Head, who was under Langer and was told to fix up his technique and do this and do that, and how that just wrecked him. And under McDonald, who just said to him, mate, just go out there and play your game. So someone has got to pull Constance aside and say, mate, you're a good batsman. Get back to your fundamentals. Play the ball. Don't try to be ramping balls over the keeper's head and doing stuff that you've never done in your life, but because someone told you need to be a point of difference, you started doing this crap.
Do you remember the Prime Minister's 11 game last summer, though? I was, you weren't watching, I was texting you. I was watching that game.
You were, yeah.
He played 4 ramps right into the middle of that, and that got him going. He ended up converting that into 100. So I think that is part of his game, but it's got to be used
at the right time. Second ball, he was ramping, like...
Yeah, and he didn't do that in the Prime Minister.
That's right. He didn't do it. It was second ball, and you can't be doing that early in the test.
So I'm not saying put the ramps away in the test matches if that's part of his game. If he did what he did in the Prime Minister's 11 game and he gave himself 10 overs, he played very technically straight, got himself in, got to look at the bowlers, got to feel the pace, then he started ramping. he was unstoppable that match. And that's the way, that's the template. He should go back, look at that, watch that, and build his innings like that.
Well, you look at what Boland did to him in the Sheffield Shield game when they played Victoria, played New South Wales, and he knew exactly what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And I think he took his wicket with his third or fourth ball.
Yep.
And even Bumrah figured him out in the second innings and ended up cleaning him up. So, you know, bowlers are now going to be looking at that and saying, okay, we think this guy's going to start doing this early. You know, and yeah, so he could be in for a world of hurt. He might not hold his spot if he keeps doing stuff like that. So.
No. But you got to take the good with the bad. He's going to have failures, but just let him play and just give him some time. Just don't turf him out like they've done so far, because I felt like he did his job rattling the Indians last time.
Yeah.
So he should have been given a bit more of a look in to keep playing.
Yeah.
Because he did what the team expected of him, and that was go out and get Boomer off his lines, and he did that in the Boxing Day test. Yeah. So let him play, give him time, accept the good with the bad. You're going to have that.
He's only young, so yeah.
All right, so what, from one rebel of the Australian cricket team to another? Carlton.
Yeah, well, I've got a question first from Gordon about Cam Green.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So do you think he's hype, or do you think there's actually
he scores runs, big runs. He's done it in county cricket so far this summer. Unfortunately, look, it wasn't easy coming at 3 on those conditions and top quality bowling attack. It's a big step up from county cricket, so give him some time.
Yeah, I agree.
That 100 he scored against New Zealand, that was legit. That won us the test match.
I agree. I think New Zealand, If it's Webster or Green, I'd be sticking with Green.
Yeah. And again, I look back to he scored 100 in Indian too, didn't he? So litmus test. So he's quality. It's there. Yeah. No, it's not hype. Unfortunately, we haven't got to see much of him after he really embedded himself and got that confidence because of that injury.
Yeah, because of that injury. Yeah, it hurts him.
And again, one-off test, difficult. He'll score big in the Windies. So yeah, let's go to Carlton now, because I'm really eager to talk about this. What's going on with Carlton and where do they go to?
I'm shocked Voss is still there. I thought he'd be gone by now. So I am just absolutely gobsmacked that he's still there. And what we're hearing is he'll be there for the rest of the year. That there's no talk about from board level or anything of, even if they lose to Port, or even if they don't win another game this year, there's no thought of. So I don't know what the thought process is there, whether they realise that they do have a lot of injuries and but that team was supposed to be primed for.
Who says that they're primed for the premiership? I look at the bottom 12 players.
They obviously do. They obviously think they're primed for a premiership.
No. So, and we've spoken about this before. Their best 12 players are great, but mind you, are they that great? Because I look at that Carlton team, and who would you select for your team? I'll run through the names that I would take. I'd take Wiedering.
Definitely.
I would take Dakota.
Definitely.
And I would take Patrick Cripps. This season, Walsh has had a bit of a drop off, but Prime Walsh, I'd take Prime Walsh. That's it.
And I'd probably take Kerner.
Well, at the Crows, I mean, loaded with.
I'd take Kerner.
Yeah,
I'd definitely take Kerner.
So that's 4.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. There's not maybe 5. Yeah.
And then the bottom 12 players are really bad.
And that tends to be the thing, isn't it? So, and most clubs that are struggling, everybody's got that top-notch 4, 5, 6. It's that bottom 12 that you're right. That are just
I think that's different. I said off camera, if they let Cunningham go, because it looks like he's writing his own check at this moment. If they lock him up with what they've got and what they're paying their top end talent, what have they got to improve that bottom 12?
You can't improve that list if you're going to pay him what he wants or what St Kilda are willing to offer him.
And look, Gun Rush
does the same thing.
Hard to find, yes?
Yeah, no. So Ruckman are hard to find? No, it seems like you can turn any bloke into a Ruckman these days.
Yeah. So Ruckman, but really, really good, great Ruckman. So you'd have what?
Is he going to be in that great Ruckman class, do you think?
Well, again, there's always question marks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Particularly with big guys. Are they going to keep going? Because again, Harry Mackay started his career well. Where's he gone?
Yeah. So would I have Max gone? Of course.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the best Ruckman.
Yeah, the really, really best. But yeah, at Dakota.
Cunningham's not going to be a best ruckman in this league for multiple years. He's going to be in that top. He will be in the top 10. He'll be in that 5 to 10 range. But really, as far as ruckman goes, does anybody look below the top 3 or 4? No. So,
So, yeah, that money that they could potentially tie up in a ruckman.
Yeah.
Could
But aren't St Kilda making the same mistake now? Aren't they
St Kilda have a lot of money like that.
But aren't they about to take a ruckman for about what? If you hear the numbers, they're talking $2 million.
Yeah, and they've got Rowan Marshall.
That's right. Rowan Marshall. It's exactly. And I guarantee you, they're not paying him anywhere near $2 million a year. So they must have other plans for the Cunningham than having him ruck.
Yeah.
So imagine Max King, mate. What happens if he hits his straps and he starts demanding big dollars? You're gonna absolutely tie your hands together, and they're not going to be able to afford some of this other talent, and they're going to be where they are at the moment.
No,
and mid-range, because you just can't fit everybody in.
Yeah, we're talking about Carlton, but St Kilda, they're
that's why I can't believe
they're at
the numbers they're talking about. Yeah, but you're right, Carlton. Look, I'm not sure whether they walked under a ladder or they had a black cat walk in front of them, or they've broken so many mirrors that they're just continuously having so much bad luck. But
salary cap karma, maybe.
So, yeah, maybe salary cap.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you look at that list, and you're right about the bottom 12, but they do have some good talent. Or you think they do. On paper, they look like a reasonable team, but of course,
they don't play
the game on paper.
Yeah, and that's just
that's true too. But they've got a lot of friends in the league that don't kick well, so, around them.
Imagine playing Australian rules football, not being able to kick. All right, so you've got AFL's generation of conversation and their media domination.
Well, this also came from Gordon. So he wanted to know whether are the AFL smart and just keeping the conversation going about anything and everything, or are they just losing the plot and have no idea what's going on around it? Because every week we seem to be rolling through another set of umpiring controversy, or there's just something going on behind the scenes, or it's just messing something up. Like, is it just a matter of no news is bad news for the AFL at the moment, or they just want to have the conversation just around them?
Look, the AFL doesn't know its ass from its face at the moment, and they've got small man syndrome. They're a small fry in the grand scheme of sports. Well, so they've got this feel that they feel the need to dominate the media landscape to keep the likes of the number one participated sport in the country, soccer, out of the headlines. They want to keep cricket, at a minimum, even during cricket season. Now, they don't want basketball gaining a foothold. And you could go on and on and on.
Well, NRL,
yeah, they absolutely want everything. And it's insecurity. Because they're worried that the moment they allow another sport to get in and get the back page, to get a couple of pages in, then that could be the end of them.
Yeah,
that's the fear.
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's too well supported for that to happen. But what you could do is you could have a lot of people dropping off because the way you're just nonchalantly going about your business and not even worrying about fixing some of the stuff that are annoying the people who are watching the game.
Yeah, they
are. The whole weekend, the umpiring was atrocious. And it went from Thursday all the way through to Sunday.
Yeah.
And there was 2 less games this week. And it was still terrible. Imagine what it would have been like if they had all 9 on. So I don't know why there's just so much resistance to try to fix up what's going on. Friday night, you couldn't move without 50-minute penalty, or and then we rolled into Saturday. There was so many they could have plucked that they just didn't bother with them. And they've all changed from half time. In our game, they would very, very they didn't want to call holding the ball. After half time, all of a sudden they were calling holding the balls for the same incidents that were happening in the first quarter. Make up your mind. Call it or don't call it.
Yeah.
I don't care, but keep it consistent. I don't want to see a game switch in after half time to the point where you didn't call it in the first half, and then you don't call it in the second half. Or you start to call it in the second half.
When they hit that halftime break, they've got that umpiring directive coach or whatever that's on the line. And they have a chat in the change rooms about, hey, that first half you vote for umpire, you paid 2 million holding the balls. Let's pull back.
Yeah.
So it ruins the integrity of the game.
It does.
Do you think that's happening?
Keep it consistent. Exactly. Keep it consistent, because it just frustrates everybody when 1 minute because the players will adjust to what you call it. And if they know that this is on the ball or that's high or that's pushing the back or whatever you might call it, and you're not calling it, they continue to do it all game long because they know, well, I got away with it 3 times already, or it's not been called. I might as well just continue to do it.
Should we do a special show of our own where we pull out the rule book, we get the vision up, and we interpret umpiring, give them an easy guide to let them.
I mean, look at Ross the boss. He had a whinge about the whole Nick Dacos and the tagging, the umpiring on
2 sets of umpires.
2 sets of umpires, exactly. And then you have James Hird break it down and have a look at it and decide, no, they were all free kicks. But that's not the point, though. The point is he trying to say we were umpired differently to them? Because I think that's what he was trying to say. He wasn't saying that the Dacos frees weren't there. He's saying when it was our turn to have that same free, we didn't get it. That's what I interpreted. Is that what you took from it? From what Ross said?
Look, I haven't really been listening that closely to Ross lately, because he's done a lot of whinging, so I just completely dismissed his.
But I absolutely thought what he said was true because I saw it.
Well, thank you.
Don't get me wrong. The Sydney game was terrible. We played so terribly. The umpiring had nothing to do with the result. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the thing that frustrates me the most is when 2 teams get their rules applied differently to them.
Look, that's happening, sure, but St Kilda's not the best team to have that theory tested because they don't have a lot of named players in the midfield.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's a high tackle, it's a high tackle. If it's holding the ball, it's holding the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It shouldn't be because it's Nick Dacos, he gets it, and because it's
And look, I've
and I've known he doesn't get it.
Podcast, Lance Franklin was always umpired differently to everybody else.
Of course he was,
and that gave me that.
Of course it was, and that's not just him. There was a lot of players who.
Oh yeah. But also, when it went to match review, the hierarchy was thrown out. The hierarchy was thrown out.
No, that's the other thing too. Like there was some of the things some of the actually went to the tribunal got off for, just ridiculous.
But yeah, you're right. 2 different sets of rules.
That's right, and that's essentially what Ross was trying to say. He wasn't whinging about Nick Dacos getting free kicks that were there. He was whinging about the fact that he got
Nick
him.
Dacos got,
and when it was our turn to get him, we weren't getting him. Yeah. So that's all.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, look, the publicity is great for the AFL. The AFL must be rubbing its hands together. We talked about this off air. You roll in from your grand final of the year, then have your trade week, then you have your draft, then we roll through the pre-season, and then we start talking about the new year, and we get into the new year, we start talking about, the fixture, and so it just rolls on. It's a 12 months. For AFL,
and things like
months.
The fixture, how they leak it out. So you get the first game that leaks out, then you get your first home game that leaks out, then it just stretches out. Yeah. But it's strategic.
And then you have Dunstall calling out the AFL on the fixturing itself.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out why the Essendon have so many Thursday night and Friday night games. And he was saying, this is putrid.
Yeah, and
who wants
they
to
did
watch
that with a rolling draw still.
Yeah, that's it. With a rolling draw, they still did it.
Still stuffed it up.
So they still stuffed it up.
Yeah.
So, and as he said, what computer spits this out? There's no computer that's spitting out Essendon on a Friday night 3-4 weeks in a row because that's not what the AFL wants. It's not as a marquee game.
It is what the AFL wants.
Well, why would you want that though? Why would you want a bad Friday night game? That just makes no sense.
Why don't they have a showdown on a Friday night?
I don't know.
Given after that first showdown this year was absolute cracker. I thought when they did the rolling fixture, that was guaranteed. That was our number one guarantee. Was we were going to get that showdown on the Friday night.
When did it end up?
Saturday night, up against, I think, Geelong.
Yeah, that's right, Geelong and Summer.
Yeah, freaking powerhouse game. So, you know what the majority of Victoria will be watching because of that.
Well, that's probably the game that'll go through to air.
Yeah, it will.
It would be the Geelong game, and the only one.
Disrespect.
Look, you want to watch it, get Fox.
Far out. Yeah.
Or KO or whatever.
And that's what KO wants. KO wants the showdown game on there so that, if you're from interstate, because they know how great a game it is.
Yeah.
It's part of the perks of subscription.
Yeah. Well, all right, I've got a question for you.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's about your favourite subject in the whole world. Katy Perry.
That's my favourite subject in the whole world.
Coming to South Australia and avoiding WA. Is there a reason why she came here?
A sporting reason?
Well, it could be a sporting reason. I'm leaving the door open.
Yes,
So
I think I know.
I know Katie's your number one account. So number two after Taylor. Sorry, number two account after Taylor Swift. So
Yeah, okay. So yeah, maybe she did. Maybe she could smell that smell all the way back in the west coast of America. Those stinky West Coast Eagles.
Oh my!
If you can smell them from across the ocean, yeah, from west coast of America to west coast of South Australia, she avoided it, and she was here right up until I think she left on Saturday afternoon. Performed there Saturday night.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. Look, West Coast, they stink. The way Fremantle play football, they stink. Western Australia just stinks at the moment. Yeah, so absolutely. Everyone gave Katy Perry a hard time.
Yeah.
After she come back from space, she kissed her. She was the biggest idiot. I think she's now redeemed herself.
Well, I only want to add one more thing to what you said.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy, for that question. I really did appreciate it.
So that question wasn't from you?
No, it was from Andy. I just want to clarify that. That came from Andy, not me.
Yeah. Well,
a regular listener, so thank you, Andy.
Listen, yeah, and any hate, don't direct it towards Ross.
No.
It's me. I'm the one that has a problem with West Coast.
I just want to clear that up because I haven't seen some flack coming this way.
Yeah, so Katy Perry redeems herself by trashing WA, spending her hard-earned coin in South Australia, and she'll be back. Did you hear? She said,
"Yeah, she did. She liked it."
Yeah, she's going to perform her best concerts in Adelaide. So that's a woman with taste. Let's hope we roll her out in a pro scarf. All right. So the next question. Speaking of women, the WNBA. A lot of noise going on in WNBA this week in regards to Caitlyn Clark and Sophie Cunningham. Yes. The tackle heard around the world.
Right?
And how that played out.
How they exploited it too.
Yeah, her own team. Yeah. Her own team. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, have we really, I thought we'd got past this whole exploiting women for their figures and their bodies and stuff like that. Okay, so the basketball, we know basketball could be a physical game. We both played it, and we see how it can be physical around the world and in different leagues. So stuff like that, it happens all the time. But then to take the player, put her in a bikini, and then flaunt her out there, to me, I thought we were totally past this stage of having to promote women like that to get a buzz for the league. So I don't know what your thoughts are, but
yeah, it looked diabolical. They have their greatest player of all time playing at the moment, Caitlyn Clark, is only going to get better. Why is she not being marketed around more appropriately? Why isn't she a selling point? Why do they have to stoop to the level of, let's show Sophie Cunningham, who's got her 5 seconds of fame at the moment, and let's get that picture out to the world? Why aren't they talking about Caitlyn Clark's 50-odd point game, 10 rebounds, 10 assists?
Because they don't want to.
Why is Grace coming out with me-bound freaking trademarks and T-shirts and,
tell us our stats after she came out.
What was it? 1 field goal, 5 points, 3 throws and 2 rebounds. 33 minutes of basketball. Yeah. What the hell is that? And she's supposed to be Caitlyn Clark's greatest rival.
She's not. What
the hell is going on with that? Listen, the WNBA could push women's sports to another level. They've got the potential to do something that soccer hasn't done. They've got a great league, the WSL over in America, and they have the world's best players there, and soccer was pretty good.
Yeah.
But, it's not treated the same as basketball. Basketball over there could be massive. If they get it right, they get it marketed appropriately, and stop degrading it by selling sex.
Yeah, it's got to be more than marketing, though. It's got to be the whole product has to be good. You can market something and throw money at it, and it's not going to make it.
True, but it feels like they're at the
they are
developing personalities.
They are developing personalities, which is good. And you want the things. You want to see things that are happening in.
Because you think about
NBA, you win
exactly.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson,
that's it.
Larry Bird,
that's right.
And you had Michael Jordan.
You want rivalries. That's right.
Yeah.
You want rivalries. You had the Bad Boy Pistons and the Jordan Bulls. You want to see that. You do. Unfortunately, the game's lost that because I think everybody's too friendly these days. But the WNBA, they generally seem to hate Caitlyn Clark. Like, she doesn't seem to have any supporters outside of her own team. And I've even heard that even players on her own team, because they think she's selfish and she's made it all about herself, and they think that they're the ones who've built the league and she's come in. Well, this is what the thought process was, because as you know, I watch a lot of those American short talking shows, you know, whatever you want, the PTIs and the Around the Horns and that sort of thing. You know, and a lot of it is that they just think that she's just come in and try to take the limelight, and it's all about her skin color, and it's all about the fact that she's, you know, the girl can play. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, no one's spending their hard earned to go watch someone who can't play. She can play. She can flat out play. Now, that's the difference. Now, you can hate her as much as you want, and you can tell me I'm wrong. I'm not. Her stats show I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And by the time she finishes her career, Caitlyn Clark will be the greatest female basketball ever. Going past Swoops, going past all these other women that came before her. She will be, statistically, she will be the most dominant player ever.
I would argue, yeah.
Right? But she's got a long way to go. She's still got another 10, maybe 12 years of it.
But that's the beauty. How much better could she get?
Right. And how often are they going to slaughter the sacred lamb here? Because if they keep going the way she's going, and then they injure her, we saw what happened when she missed, 4, 5, 6 games. Viewership dropped by 50%. That should tell you everything you need to know. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence it went up when she went into the league, and it's not a coincidence it dropped when she got injured.
It's because why is Angel Reese pushed where she is?
Because they want that rivalry. They need it. The league needs that rivalry. Unfortunately, I think they've just picked the wrong person to have the rivalry. Angel Reese is only famous because she did this to Caitlyn Clark. That's it. That's it. She pointed to her finger because she said, I got a ring. I got a college ring. I won a college championship. She taunted her, and that's where the rivalry comes from. Until that point, they were just 2 college basketball players.
Because
so
at the Black Entertainment Awards, Angel Reese won Athlete of the Year.
Yeah.
Now that's completely unfair when you've got, you know, the likes of Simone Biles racking up gold at the Olympics. You've got Coco Gauff winning Grand Slams.
Yeah.
And then you've got Angel Reese marking herself as rebounds.
Well, she's a rebounding machine. The unfortunate
she is.
It's from her misses.
Well, that's it.
So if you miss 3 times and you rebound those 3 times, right. That's 3 rebounds.
That's where the rebound nickname came from.
So as far as rebounding goes, she's probably going to lead the league when she finishes her career. She's probably going to be the highest rebounder of all time. Unfortunately, 90% of those rebounds have come from her missing shots. And that's what she'll be remembered for.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion, by the way. But I do hear others saying that. Let's not just be blinded by the fact that, you know, there are a lot of people out there saying if she wasn't missing the shots, she wouldn't be getting the rebounds.
I agree. I'm only going to watch to see. If you haven't watched, then finally, yeah.
Let's face it, Rodman was a rebounding machine. He couldn't shoot for, you know, what word I want to use, shit. But he was a rebounding machine. Yeah, he wasn't rebounding his own missed shots. He was rebounding other people's.
But he's not talked in the same breath as Larry Bird, is he?
No, but he will be for those who played with him. Like I've heard testimonials from players like Jordan, and you know when he played on those Pistons teams.
The hype.
But he like this is the thing that annoys me about people is that everybody who's Rodman was a great, and yet you're spot on. He's not spoken about in the ways that he should be. Maybe because of his antics off the court.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wearing wedding dresses, the thing with Madonna, the thing where he went missing in Vegas for, you know. So it is what it is. But as far as a player and a rebounder, he was probably one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt. I'm not arguing that. It was more a case of it's comparable in terms of, I mean, she does nothing but rebound, really. And we consider her as a top 2 player. Rodman was never a top 2 player.
No, because
he was a valuable player to his team. Absolutely. But you've got her and her team, and it's quite the come from her was, you know, I play for a crap team.
Well, you know, what does that tell you about her as a teammate?
Yeah, exactly. Me.
Yeah.
So you had a question about WASN.
Yeah. So I just which if you don't know, that's the all women's sports network. So it's something that I believe Whoopi Goldberg is a part owner in, and they bring just women's sport to a paid network. So they've now got the Australian Netball League on board. I'm just wondering why they haven't approached the WNBL to go in there, the Australian Women's League, Basketball Women's League. Because I thought that would have been a perfect pairing because they've got the WNBA in there. So,
I'd never heard of that network to begin with.
Yeah. Well, it is something new, but it's only women's sport.
Yeah.
So they are building, and apparently their viewership's up around about the 91 million mark. They had Whoopi Goldberg when they did the deal with Netball Australia come on and saying that, I watched the games, I love it, it's fast paced, it's this, it's that. She was glowing about the, a review of netball.
Mm-hmm.
Whether the Americans are drawn to netball, I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I don't think it's their sport. They've got basketball. They love their basketball.
But for AWSN, that's a good for them because you'll have Australian viewers.
That's right.
Log on. So then that's when they get exposed to like the WNBA and whatever else they've got on there. It's a bit like any other streaming service that's going around. So, but it's, you know what you're going to get. It's women's sports.
Yeah, that's right. It's all women's.
And maybe over time, that's what they will do.
Yeah, and could the AFLW do something there?
They could.
Could the women's soccer leagues do something there? I don't know. These are entities that seem to be owned by the AFL.
But I suppose it depends.
EPL and things like that.
What the AFL or any organisation chooses to do, because part of the AFL deal, TV rights, and this is why I don't think the AFL will release it, is because they package it up to try and get a better.
Yeah.
I can't see, because as it is, the talk is that they're going to end up on par or less than the TV rights they got this time around.
Right.
So they're not going to split that just yet until they can guarantee that money-wise, they're going forward, not too far back.
Yeah.
Yeah. The TV rights, they're in a bit of strife there, the AFL. That speaks to the good deal that they got this time around.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, it does.
All right, final shot time.
All right. Well,
I think we went the same one this week.
Yeah, we did. I think for the same reason, there wasn't much on offer other than the only other one I could have gone final shot was Port and Carlton, which I think could be, given the way they both played last week, could be a 50-50.
Yeah,
but I think we both settled with Sydney to beat the Dogs in Sydney.
Yeah.
So I thought Callum Mills made a huge difference to Sydney. I watched him play. Obviously, I went to the game. Was very bitterly disappointed, but seeing him back, that definitely made a difference for Sydney. And their attitude was totally different.
Yeah,
they went to
that message early.
Yeah, you did before the game, and you could see it straight away that they were on and we weren't, and they were pushing us around, and they were willing to put the elbows in and do the extra little scrag in. They ran in numbers, they tackled in numbers, they were just on.
See, what impressed me was that they gave you the niggle before the bounce, but that first contest. So that's the time. Okay, you can come out and you can show you're fired up, you're aggressive,
but you got to back it up.
But you've got to then follow it up, and they did for the next 10, 12 contests. They were
that team that knew if they lost that game, it's season over.
Yeah. Plus, I think the last time it hurt you guys that last time they were here, they got absolutely
spanked.
So he would have had that up on their board.
Definitely. Yeah.
Plus, also, they've had 2 weeks to think about it.
Yeah, that's true. They have. Like I said, they look like a team that just knew that we lose this, we might as well just fold the tents and go home. So they came out breathing fire. And I think they'll need to back it up. They've got to back it up against the Dogs if they're going to be going anywhere.
Yeah. Before we get you to send us off, I just want to send out a cheerio to Mac Andrew. Great game on the weekend, superstar.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
All right.
You're going to be in good with the Mac Andrews supporters.
already. I'm already. If you're a viewer from the early shows, you know why.
As you know, Liam, we both have a Polish friend who does our sound for us. We also have a check 1 2. Check 1 2. Good night, guys.